Welcome to the Prophecy Collaborate. Topic today is This is the Start. We have not a new dream revision, but it's new to us, and I think it's talking about what's going on today. So I think I've got some real important information. I think that these last three words we've got, which I'm going to cover today, apparently big things are about to start. Okay, so let's get started. Now, this would give it to you be ready back in 2019, but I think you'll agree it needs to be read today. So Revelation 6:4 says, "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there was given to him a great sword." So Byron says, "I was asleep in my bed. My wife was having some difficulty sleeping, so she was silently reading on her phone beside me. I know now that the Lord had kept her awake for a reason, to be a witness and to record what was about to take place. At 12:15, I began making some movements in sleep. After a few minutes, she could tell that at that point I was dreaming, since the movements had become quick and sharp and abrupt, lifting my arms up and down and my legs, making small, sudden, abrupt kicks. I then started making verbal sounds and noises like gasps and short, startled cries. She noted that the sounds had become louder, more distressed, like groans and cries. At that point, she was debating whether to wake me up or not, as it seemed to her that I was having a very distressing dream or nightmare. Just as she was about to wake me up, she saw that I had become very still and motionless. My breathing had become a quick, little short breath. She waited and then picked up her phone and noted that the time was 12:25 a.m., then turned it off. After a minute or so of me being still and quiet, she felt my hand reach over and touch her arm. I asked, "Are you still awake?" She said, "Yes." And she asked if I was okay. I said, I'm seeing it. It started." She asked, "What are you seeing? What started?" I exclaimed, the war in Iran. I'm seeing it. It's happening right now before my eyes." She said, "What? You're seeing what?" I exclaimed, "Yes. I don't know how. I was just dreaming. Now I'm seeing it while I'm awake." She asked, "So what are you seeing?" I said, "It's so bad. It's so bad. I can't believe it." I began to cry as I started to try to tell her what I was seeing, what was happening. I cried. "It's so bad. It's so bad. No, dear Lord, no. It's too much. It's night. It's dark. I'm seeing hundreds, maybe thousands of rockets flying all over the place. It's so bad. It's unbelievable." Now, did you catch this? So he woke up out of a dream, which then turned to a vision. He's talking to his wife, and he's describing to his wife in bed beside him at 12:25 what he is seeing in a vision. I think that's real credible. At this point, she said, I began sobbing and weeping. I was overcome with emotion as I tried to continue telling her what I was seeing. I cried, "There are rockets flying everywhere. They're going in different directions. I'm up high. I'm up above the Persian Gulf. I'm looking down and I see Iran, Iraq, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and some other countries. Rockets are flying all over the place. From Iran to Israel, Israel to Iran, from Iran to U.S. ships in the Persian Gulf, and from the ships to Iran. They're flying back and forth between the ships in the Persian Gulf. I see the ships being hit." Okay, so this is American ships being hit by these rockets. I told you, we don't have technological advantage anymore. We're not the best of the best anymore. "I see the U.S. flags that look like we're making U.S. base locations in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other places. I'm seeing them being hit." Okay, so this is American facilities being hit by these rockets. "I'm seeing them being hit one by one. Then the flag disappeared." Okay, flag being disappeared. That means at least we're not in control anymore, and it may mean that those places are totally destroyed. She said, "It went on like this for several minutes, just weeping and sobbing and saying over and over, 'I can't believe it. Oh, God, no, please, help. It's so bad. No, it's too much to watch. Please, God, I can't bear to watch it anymore. I asked the Lord to please let us stop, and he did. And the vision ended after getting up and walking around for a few. You had to get up and walk around for a few minutes to get out of the vision. That's powerful. After getting up and walking around for a few minutes and getting a glass of water, I then lied back down in the bed, and we prayed as I laid there thinking about all I had just seen, and I heard the Lord say, listen, 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 now listen. This is the start. The start of what? I think it's the start that, remember, Leslie was told, well, here, let me jump to that. April 15th, 2002, she had a dream, and these are the points of the dream. That Arafat would go into the hospital. Now, at the time, Arafat wasn't allowed outside of his compound, so that's a very risky thing to put out, but we did. And about 2 years later, 11/11/04, at 3:30 a.m., he died in the hospital just like she was told. So that validates the rest of it, meaning when God speaks, either all of it is true or all of it is not from him. You don't get part of it here and part of it there, okay? And she was told that Israel will give the Palestinians a state, but it'd be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen the military. Then oil would be discovered. Okay, so to me it appears that the October 7th thing that has not concluded will probably conclude, and very possible it'll conclude this year. Very possibly it'll conclude with the Palestinians given a state. Then oil will be discovered. Now, that part is unfulfilled. Oil will be discovered. The oil will make the Jews willing to fight for their land. Then Israel and America will go against most of the rest of the Arab world. It sounds like this is what we're talking about. Now, I want to say that, this is several years off. That's what I want to believe. But I'm about to show you some things that says it might not be so far off. Now, let's go on to the next thing. You recall I read this yesterday. This is from Jason Meeks. So I woke up 3:30 this morning and I heard in my spirit, Project Gladio is here. The chickens have come home to roost. Project Gladio is basically a resistance movement. I think there's a good possibility what God is saying is this is the early beginnings or the start of the internal revolution. Hang on to that. Let's go on to something else here. Also, remember, this is also from You Be Ready. This is back 3/3/25, and this is The Show Has Begun. See, I think that they're all kind of playing together, and I've covered this several times. I think it's important. I think we need to cover this again. So while in prayer, I heard the Lord speak the words to me, the show has begun. Now, what's the show? I think it's the great end-time battle between Lucifer and Jesus. I should say between Father and Lucifer, and between Jesus and the Antichrist. However you want to split that up. I heard a carnival barker shouting, ladies and gentlemen, come one, come all, see the greatest show on earth. In other words, the great end-time battle between light and darkness, between good and evil, has begun. I think that all of this is all a part of it. Then there wasn't an empty seat in the house, means at this point nobody has gone anyplace. There were 3 rings. In the large ring, I saw clowns amusing the crowd. That's the people that are trying to keep the people entertained with ball games and things like that. I saw a small ring where I saw a Russian bear riding a bicycle and a leopard, or the Muslims, riding on crates, and a parrot. What's the parrot? Well, like I watched on TV last night, they'd put a microphone up to some of the people that were protesting and say, well, why do you call them a terrorist? Or a racist? I don't know. They're just parroting what they've heard on CNN. They're parrots. They don't have any real reasons for believing the way they believe. They don't exactly understand it. They've just heard that if you don't go along with the left, then you're a racist. Okay? In the large ring was a ringmaster, which we believe is Jesus and the angel, along with the Constitution. The ringmaster got upset reading the Constitution, ripping pages out of it, setting them on fire. The clowns hosed it down, but with gasoline, which means our Constitution is going away, as was hinted to by others. The parrot was people who just repeated what they heard. All people in the audience cheered, thinking it was all part of the show. There were three computer monitors mesmerizing the people. The first was war without bombs, in other words, the war with words. That's what we're in right now. Second is war with bombs exploding, and the third was people running for their lives. Both of these seem to say that the bombs are not exactly about ready to fly. I hope we've got some more time. Hang on. Then the ringmaster destroyed all. When the tent went black, that's the sun going out. Then a blinding light, that's the morning star, Jesus returning and destroying all of the evil. So I think that this is all fitting together to paint a picture. If we know our Bible prophecy well enough, and if we have ears to hear, if we can put it together. Now let's go on. I got some other things to show you. So, as you recall, Trump is making some big threats that frankly make me uncomfortable. He's threatened Iran if they don't make a deal that he's going to bomb them. And then he's now threatened Putin, says if he doesn't make a deal, then he might do some more things to Russia. And I'm not going to get into all of those things. However, this is kind of interesting. This is March 27th. Iran replies in writing to the USA and basically says, hit the road, Jack. We aren't listening to you. We don't want your deal. We don't want any unrealistic conditions. We don't want you telling us what to do. Now, if America was in the position to destroy Iran, and if they were, Iran would know that. And Iran would be a little bit more cooperative. But in that, they're basically telling him to hit the road. To me, that says that Iran has the capability to hit Israel, the bases in the Middle East for America, and also the ships, just like the dream vision we just read. So I think this is right on. I want to believe it's not yet. I just can't totally rule it out. Let's go on. There's more. Now, this was March 25, a week ago. 7 stealth bombers sent to Diego Garcia. On Monday, I was made aware that the United States deployed 3 B-2 stealth bombers to Diego Garcia. What is that? Well, it's a prison island, but it's also a military base. Skipping, given we only have 19 of these super high-tech bombers, putting 3 of them somewhere is a big deal. Then, Tuesday, the next day, he found out that 4 more, that's a total of 7 out of 19 of these that we own, have been sent to Diego Garcia. Why? He says that's a total of 7 out of the 19. He said we're going to be, in his opinion, we're going to be attacking Iran. Iran will try to close the Strait of Hormuz, which will send oil prices skyrocketing. According to that dream, apparently Iran has the wherewithal to take out some of our ships, to take out some of our bases in the Middle East, and apparently it's about to be a bloody mess. Now, all of them say it's about to start, but again, you have to remember, our immediate start is not God's immediate start. I mean, just like I told you, I heard this is the time of miracles, and that was August 8th of 2015, 10 years ago, and it hadn't arrived yet. So God's time clock, praise God, moves much slower than ours. So when God says it's about to happen right now, that may mean 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You never know. We hope it's longer. I got some other points to make. Let's go on. Now, this is important. And I'm going to be playing a video in just a second that is part of this X post. Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth, declaring, we will finish them off. And there was another prophecy put up by somebody that said that Russia's going to eventually use nuclear bombs against Ukraine. He claims Russia's military is gaining momentum and operating with growing effectiveness. He insists that the only thing left is for the Ukrainian people to recognize reality that they've lost, because according to him, the outcome is now inevitable, and I agree. And there's been other articles that say that's true too. Zelensky has left Putin with no other option. Now, I'm asking them to play this. It's only 29 seconds. I'm asking them to play this clip back and back because he's speaking in Russian. Obviously, most of us can't understand that. But It gives you a chance to read below what he is saying, and that confirms what he's saying here in the article. Here's Vladimir Putin.
И есть все основания полагать, я еще совсем недавно говорил, мы их дожмем, есть основания полагать, что мы их добьем. Я думаю, что только должно прийти осознание того, что происходит у самого украинского народа. А то, что наши вооруженные силы набирают обороты, действуют все более и более эффективно, и есть все основания полагать, я еще совсем недавно говорил, мы их дожмем, есть основания полагать, что мы их добьем. Я думаю, что только должно прийти осознание того, что происходит у самого украинского народа. А то, что наши вооруженные силы набирают обороты, действуют все более и более эффективно.
Meaning, we could see nuclear bombs from Russia fall in Ukraine or something very devastating. And now let's go on to the next point. Trump is very angry with Putin's remarks on Zelensky. You remember that Michael Snider, and I'm about to read it here in just a second, was warned that we need to be praying that Trump does not anger Putin or it would backfire. President Trump said he was very angry at the remarks President Vladimir Putin made Friday about Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, suggesting that he's not the legitimate leader. Actually, I read an article on that. They were supposed to have presidential elections, and because of the war, they put off the presidential elections. So Russia does have a point that Zelensky might not be the official leader. And even if Zelensky and Putin agree to something, it might not stand up to the Ukrainians. You see what I'm saying? It'd be kind of like if we were to make an agreement with Russia now between Putin and Biden. Well, America would say, well, who's Biden? He don't have the authority to talk for us. It's President Trump now. See, it's the same situation. So the president threatened to slap a new tariff on Russia. Not good. Not good. I'm about to read it. If it is at fault for stalling an end to bloodshed. Let me read that again. The president threatened to slap a new tariff on Russia if it is at fault for stalling an end to the bloodshed. The Russian president said Friday his Ukrainian counterpart does not have the legitimacy required for a peace deal signature and suggested an interim government is needed, meaning all Putin's trying to say, look, if we come to an agreement, I don't want it to be an agreement of somebody that is really running Ukraine. That's a reasonable request. And for that, apparently Trump got angry. See, I think Trump is not being given all the information he needs to get. Let me go on. There's more. In the middle of this is March 31, as in yesterday. Taiwan says China deploys Shandong aircraft carrier group, not just one aircraft carrier, but a group, near the island. What island would that be? That would be Taiwan. China has deployed the Shandong aircraft carrier group and other vessels around Taiwan. The island's defense ministry said they're conducting military exercises to surround the self-ruled island. Taiwan has dispatched its own aircraft and ships and deployed land-based missile systems in response to the drills. We're seeing a lot of things that says war. Big war is about to start. Taiwan detected 19 Chinese warships around the island in 24 hours. Are we about to see war? Could be. Now let me back up. Now that we see and understand this, it's even more important to read what he was told. So this is a friend of mine, Michael Snider, has been a speaker for Prophecy Club, which you can watch his DVD at watchprophecyclub.com. He says, I just had one of the most alarming dreams of my entire life. On Friday night, I went to bed shortly before midnight, feeling perfectly fine. But in the middle of the night, I heard a dream which shook me greatly. Sometime after 2 a.m., I suddenly awakened out of a dream, and it concluded. I quickly realized that something was very, very wrong. I sat up on my bed to see if that would help, but it didn't. So I stumbled into the kitchen, basically, got myself some apple juice, he says, trying to stabilize myself. I was so shaken by the dream, it took a long time before I could feel good about going back to bed again. I wanted to tell you how to understand this dream. It affected me big time, apparently. It was a dream about Donald Trump, the United States, and Russia. Donald Trump is an old school businessman from New York City. He has a very unique negotiating style. Basically, he twists arms. When Trump is trying to get something accomplished and there is resistance, sometimes he will say crazy things or make very serious threats in order to put the other side off balance. In other words, to put the deal together. He's a deal maker. In cases where Trump has most of the leverage, this approach has worked well. But in other cases, such as an approach would not be wise at all, in other words, with Putin. See, Putin has hypersonic missiles. He knows we can't shoot them down. He has, about 3 times more nuclear warheads than us? And I heard one time our nuclear warheads were still operating off of floppy disks. Now, that was a number of years ago. Hopefully that's been upgraded. So what was most important that I heard? In the dream, I heard the voice say, if Trump follows his usual pattern of making outrageous statements and threats with the Russians, it will backfire severely. Meaning, it could make Russia attack and destroy America sooner rather than later. This was said with a lot of force. The voice still really shook me up because the message was delivered with such power. Then it happened again, but the voice was even more forceful this time. In fact, I was told the same thing by this voice multiple times. What was the thing? He was told, if Trump follows his usual pattern of making outrageous statements and threats with the Russians, it'll backfire. In other words, it'll get us destroyed sooner rather than later. That's essentially what it's saying. Each time the voice became even more forceful. It got to the point where I felt like the voice was literally exploding inside of me, kind of like I heard medical. It was screaming at me. At the end of the dream, just before I suddenly woke up, I heard 3 words that were delivered with immense power and authority. Those 3 words. And the 3 words were, you tell them. I will never forget that. And so now you know why I feel so compelled to share this dream. We need to pray that President Trump will make wise decisions. All sorts of people will be giving him all sorts of advice, and it won't always be easy to know which way to go. And I think that's very important. Matter of fact, we have been praying this prayer. President Donald Trump and his negotiating team would have the right heart in negotiating with the Russians, that they would not be a bully, pushing the Russians around, acting as if Russia has no power or authority. God would give all involved, both sides, a kind and gentle heart to be friends and work together, including Ukraine and our European allies involved in the negotiations. All feelings of anger would be held inside their heart and or removed at this conclusion. The Russia-Ukraine war would come to a peaceful end. Russia, Ukraine, America, and European allies would calm down and see peace is more important than getting everything each other wants. Both sides will come to a peaceful agreement and become at least friendly, if not friends, in Jesus' name. And we got to pray that, my brothers and sisters. We got to pray that. We are in some serious, serious trouble. This doesn't exactly relate, but it's good information. Remember, I've been telling you that there's going to be massive arrests. Remember, I heard massive arrests, audible voice. And that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway. So this is Bernegger. Military tribunals, he says, are coming. March 23, 2025. Wisconsin independent journalist and election integrity investigator Peter Bernegger, who works with CDM. I had to look up CDM, but apparently it's a very respected news source. Who works with CDM contributor Chris Gleason on data discovery. Put the following on his Telegram channel. Bernegger has been consistently credible source for years on election fraud and political money laundering. Military tribunals are coming, he says. Those found guilty are going to be executed. That's exactly what Pam Bondi said 2 days ago in a cabinet meeting. She didn't say executed, she said capital punishment. You remember those words? Actually, she said that, I think, this last Friday. Let me read that again. Military tribunals are coming. Those found guilty are going to be executed. 4 of at least 6 targets. 1. The bad actors of the Russian collusion hoax. 2. Those at the national and international levels stealing our elections. 3. A fair number of the CIA. And 4. A select few in the military intelligence selectors, such as the DIA and the DIS. It's true about the SCIF. Now, I had to look up that too. That's a place where they keep material that is the safest of the safest of the safe place. With loads of evidence being in it, you've heard the president say numerous times over the years, we caught them all. Now I'm told the results are coming, meaning the tribunals. You recall, I'll read it, I put it up here. 11/11/2019 to the reporters, Trump said, in light of all the things going on, and you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the cummies of this world, all the bad things that went on, is called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done it but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Trump has actually said, if you watched me talk on massive arrests, Trump has actually said many times there's going to be massive arrests. Okay, so I'm going to conclude there. In 2021, I started making bread, and long story short is I believe God showed me that wheat is God's famine food, just like it was famine food back in the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, days of Pharaoh and Joseph. And I believe that that's what God has planned to feed his people. And you get it by going to josephskitchen.com. 3 steps. First, you want to get a machine package. Second, you want to order 6 ingredients and watch some videos, download the recipes to be able to make the bread. josephskitchen.com. Most of your long-time storage food, emergency food, all of that, typically are talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for around $1,000 a person, and your kids will actually eat it, and it's actually good for you. Here's some bread that I made. In my case, I lost weight, lowered my blood pressure, gives me more energy. I eat a morning, slice in the morning, slice in the afternoon, always a slice before I go play racquetball. Go check it out. josephskitchen.com, EMPShield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount, and it helps Prophecy Club.